Greetings, I'm Dev the Developer. This lesson covers the basic building blocks of HTML tables. Tables have a reputation for being complicated, but the core structure is just rows and cells. We will also cover spanning cells across multiple columns or rows. Before we get started, you should know that I am using some CSS to better illustrate how a table looks and behaves. Without the CSS, tables look unremarkable, as we will demonstrate later in the lesson. HTML tables are for tabular data, information that belongs in rows and columns because the relationships between the cells carry meaning. Spreadsheet style data, a comparison of products, a class schedule, or even a set of measurements. Tables are not for layouts. Before CSS, developers used tables to create page layouts because tables were the only reliable way to put things side by side. The approach is outdated now and creates HTML that is hard to read and impossible to make responsive. Use CSS for layout. Use tables for data. So, what does the actual markup look like? It comes down to 4 tags that nest in specific order. Table is the outer container. Everything else goes inside it. TR is a table row. You add 1 for each horizontal row of data. TD is table data cell. These goes inside table row elements. Each table data cell is 1 cell in that row. TH is a table header cell. It works just like the table data cell, but semantically marks the cell as a label for a row or a column. Browsers render it bold and centered by default. The first row uses the table header cell elements because it contains column headers. The following row uses table data cell because they contain data. If you look at this in the browser right now, you'll see no borders or visible cell separation, just aligned text columns. We'll add borders and styling with CSS later. For now, the structure is what matters. Before we move on, here's an opportunity to actually look at a table without styling. As you can see, it isn't very interesting, but it's worth understanding why your tables will probably not look like the tables in this lesson. We will get to styling tables with CSS in a later lesson. For now, let's just turn styling back on before we continue with the lesson. With the basic row and cell structure in place, there is one more compatibility to cover before moving on. Sometimes a single cell needs to span multiple columns or multiple rows. Colspan and rowspan handle this. Colspan on a table data cell or a table header cell makes the cell stretch across the specified number of columns. When you use colspan equals 2, that cell takes up 2 columns in a row, and the row has 1 fewer cell because it's spanning cell to fill that space. Rowspan works the same way vertically. A cell with rowspan 2 spans 2 rows downward. The row below it will have 1 fewer cell where the spanning cells extend into it. Spanning cells take some practice to get right. The most common mistake is forgetting to remove the cells that the spanning cell has replaced in adjacent rows. Count your cells carefully. Each row should have the right number of data points accounting for any cells being spanned into from above or beside. There is one more attribute that belongs on every table header cell element, and it is purely for accessibility. The scope attribute on the table header element clarifies whether a header applies to its column, scope equals col, or its row, scope equals row. This is an accessibility attribute. Screen readers use it to associate header data with data cells correctly. This is a small addition that makes a real difference for users who rely on screen readers to navigate the table data. Table wraps everything. Table rows, well, define rows. Table data cells, table header cells, column spans to stretch across columns, row spans to stretch across rows, scope for accessibility. That is the foundation. In the next lesson, we will add some more elements to give tables proper structural sections. But before you get there, build a table with spanning cells and work through counting the cells manually until it clicks. Don't just watch it, do it.